Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, August 20th. I'm New York City Controller Brad Lander. I've lost count of how many times I have been court watching. I'll start today with the good news. I mean, the relatively good news. We only witnessed one abduction in the buildings today, either at 290 or at 26 Federal Plaza. Obviously, there may have been more, but both what I saw personally and what we talked to people about. One, a Ghanaian young man, as typical now, assigned a future court date in the courtroom, expecting to be able to go to it. For what it's worth, I don't think he saw what was coming at all. He was talking to the translator who had translated for his case, and the translator was like packing up his backpack, and he just walked out the door expecting the translator to explain what was going on and what he should do between now and the court date. The judge had assigned him, and I don't know, 10 or 12 ICE agents like manhandled him down the hallway, though he did not put up any resistance. So that was ugly and aggressive and lawless and an abduction. And thankfully today, the only one we witnessed. And that may be because the temporary restraining order for fewer people on the 10th floor is working. And DHS is complying with the federal court order and therefore reducing the number of people in detention. And if so, that's a good sign, because there are so many times when the rule of law is not applying in these buildings, and we need the rule of law to apply. And so if it works that when a federal judge orders DHS to hold fewer people on the 10th floor, they do, and that leads to fewer people being abducted and detained, that would be great. Obviously, we can't know for sure if that is what is going on here. There are still detentions happening in a one that's sort of bizarrely close to us. A former intern in my office's uncle came for an immigration check-in, which, separate from the hearings, which are upstairs. People are also assigned check-ins, generally on the first floor here. Think of that more like checking in with your probation officer. You don't have a hearing date, but they want to make sure you're still at your address in here. And he was detained. But he was held less than 24 hours. He was held on the 10th floor here for less than 24 hours and then released. So that was a good sign as well. But meanwhile, as we know, a 7-year-old was detained and deported. Mukhtar, the 20-year-old high school student who we were rallying for earlier this week, is still in detention. Dylan Contreras, another New York City high school student, is also still in detention. And one is one too many for lawless abductions from this building. I mentioned the court case that led to the temporary restraining order on the 10th floor here. Another thing I was pleased to see is that the Adams administration and the law department filed an amicus brief in the case that New York Civil Liberties Union, African Communities Together, Make the Road, and others filed a few days ago, challenging all of the courthouse detentions which are taking place. And boy, I have had many critical things to say of Mayor Adams and the Adams administration and their failure to show up here, their failure to inspect the 10th floor, their failure to be on the side of New Yorkers. But I will say this, it is a solid amicus brief that clearly makes the case for why these abductions are lawless, why they are contrary to the interests of the city of New York. And I am grateful that they filed it. I have a declaration in that lawsuit that NYCLU took, be more like a witness, I guess you would say, just reporting on what I have seen in these buildings. And obviously, what we are devoutly praying for is that just as the federal court in California enjoined the detention of people who have been paroled there, just as the federal judge here issued the TRO on the 10th floor, that a federal judge will issue a restraining order and enjoin and stop the courthouse detentions. Thank you. that are taking place in these buildings, and that is what we are hoping and praying for. One more thing I'll say today is that a few of the times I've been here recently, in recent days, has been with a relatively new program that The Door and an organization called Rock New York, Rock NYC, have been doing, focusing on young people who have applied for or are in the process of applying for SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile Status. This is something that comes from work that was done at the Asylum Application Help Center, which was open for many months when asylum seekers were coming in such great numbers. Unfortunately, the Adams administration shut it down, and that really is a shame because that was the best place for people to get help filing their asylum application and figure out how to connect to counsel. But an amazing thing happened that one of the young women who worked there, who had worked on a bunch of the SIJ applications that they had done, thought, we can't leave those young people out to dry. They don't have any parents. A lot of them don't have guardians. And so they've started this program where they're following up with a couple hundred kids, 19, 20, 21-year-olds who are here without their families. The ones I've met are mostly West African. They're a diverse bunch, but the ones that I've come with. And they're providing support for them in their SIJ hearings and check-ins here. Mukhtar is one of those young people, so sometimes they are being detained and deported. The 3 times that I have come with them, these remarkable kids, Ibrahima and Nasser from West Africa, got the judges to move along their case and their application for special immigrant juvenile status. And I think I told this story last week, I can't remember, but it's one of my favorite now. This kid, Ibrahima, who is from Guinea, and I asked him a little about what he liked about New York and what food he liked and what food I would like from his country. And he told me that he likes that in Guinea they have the jollof rice. And I said, I learned, in the Bronx, where I go to the African Heritage Day, that there's a big competition, like a debate, whose jollof rice is better. And he said to me, I'm supposed to say, I love the jollof rice from Guinea, but now that I'm here in New York, I did taste the Senegalese jollof rice, he said, and I think it's even better. And I said, Ibrahima, you're becoming a New Yorker. That's what New York is a place where we protect people, look out for young people, meet people from all around the world, recognize that New Yorkers are people from all around the world, and try to show up for them. And that's what we're going to keep doing. Fingers crossed that the TRO keeps the detentions down. Fingers crossed that the NYCLU African Communities Together Make the Road lawsuit enjoins these detentions altogether, and that we don't have to keep coming here week after week, because we could count on it being a city where the rule of law applies. That may be wishful thinking, and obviously, watching what's happening in Washington, D.C., and the threats that it could expand here make us worry that there will be new violations of the rule of law, and we're going to keep showing up every day as long as we have to. So, thank you.
Brad, two questions. First of all, as someone who works with money in general, even though we're seeing these detentions slow, we're still seeing many, many, many agents line the hallways, upwards of 20 sometimes, all day, obviously still creating fear. But would you consider that a waste of resources?
Well, 2 different points to make here. One, the volume of resources that the budget reconciliation bill put to the deportation machine is genuinely terrifying. Congress voted to make ICE the largest federal law enforcement agency in the country's history. And they are building dramatically increased detention capacity. And that will be also, we know, cruel and inhumane in so many places. We've seen the videos from Florida, so it will be small comfort if they don't keep people here very long, but then they ship them to Alabama or New Jersey or Texas or the Everglades, and ramp up federal law enforcement to the billions of dollars, a hideous waste of our tax dollars as Americans going to a deportation machine that has nothing to do with safety. Again, these are not people who have been accused of any crime. These are people who are complying with the law by coming to court. So it is an abominable waste of resources. I will also say the dynamics that now play out every day, where, again, mostly masked, non-badge identifying federal agents wait in the hallways to abduct people and then take delight in doing it and take joy in mocking the reporters who show up to document it, the elected officials, and the New Yorkers who show up to bear witness, is one element of creeping authoritarianism or creeping fascism in this country, paid for by our tax dollars. Like, it's not like red and blue Americans. We are tax-paying Americans who expect justice, and to be paying for masked federal agents mocking the rule of law and mocking us as well is an abominable waste of money. It is how authoritarianism advances, and it really stinks.
And one other question, you remain steadfast in how calming after your correction, keep coming back, Is that something you kind of continue to do? Because also, I mean, even the ICE agents, I overheard, they say when they see you, they're not happy to see you. Literally, one ICE agent says on the phone, I really hate that guy. As soon as they saw him,
All right.
I feel like that obviously shows that you're doing something that they don't like. So I was wondering if that's something, I'm just going to get your reaction to that, and are you planning to still come?
Yeah, I mean, I am hoping that the court order will end courthouse arrests, and if there are no courthouse arrests, I mean, I find it fascinating. I will say, I sat in on a couple of cases today, even though there weren't ICE agents in the hallways outside them, and as I talked about Ibrahima, I mean, I'd encourage people to come sit in these courtrooms, because I think you'll learn. I've learned so much, and I feel very hopeful about, kind of the future of our city. But if the abductions stop, then I will stop showing up. So if they want me to stop coming, which I'm delighted they do, then all they got to do is stop abducting people in these buildings, and I promise I won't show up anymore. Thank you. Oh, I hope so. I mean, obviously, that's what and that case has to play out in the court. But yes, I mean, there's the reasons to be optimistic are, I would say, threefold. One, the federal judge Dale Ho ruled on for the 10th floor TRO. Two, in California, in a suit brought by Chirla and some other immigration rights groups, the federal judge there enjoined arrests of people who had been, I think that was a narrower case, people who had been paroled into the country in the California courts, and that's great. And many of the habeas motions that have been brought in federal court, judges have ruled in favor. Yes, you don't have grounds to detain this person, so fingers crossed that means the judge will rule that the courthouse arrests are a violation of federal law and they have to stop. So fingers very tightly crossed. All right, thanks everyone.